here today just to tell the truth. So hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
It's like haters. When you get haters, you know, people's opinion of you is none of your business. I have lots of haters.
The entertainment world was left in shock when news broke of Sean Diddy Combs' unexpected arrest in September, sending waves of disbelief across the industry. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal, it was a seismic event that no one had seen coming. For years, Diddy had managed to sidestep scandal after scandal, always emerging relatively unscathed. But this time, things were different. This time the charges were serious racketeering, conspiracy, and more. And yet, what stunned everyone the most wasn't just the arrest itself. It was the revelation that an old, trusted friend might have been the key to bringing him down, Steve Harvey.
I thought Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do documentaries.
Many had assumed that Diddy's arrest was the result of years of investigations, the culmination of whispers and rumors that had long surrounded the music mogul. But as more details began to surface, it became clear that this wasn't a typical takedown. Authorities hadn't just pieced together evidence on their own. They had help from someone on the inside, someone who knew enough to implicate Diddy in ways that no one else could. And according to several insiders, that someone was none other than Steve Harvey, a man who had been close to Diddy for years. Imagine the collective gasp when it was reported that Harvey, a longtime friend and public supporter of Diddy, had allegedly cooperated with the FBI. It was a betrayal that no one expected, least of all Diddy. For years, Harvey and Diddy had been seen together at industry events, shared the same circles, and even publicly expressed their mutual admiration. They weren't just industry acquaintances, they were friends. And that's exactly what makes this betrayal all the more surprising and all the more tragic.
Not do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
No one wants him mentioned.
But why would Steve Harvey, a man with a successful career of his own, risk his reputation by turning on Diddy? According to some sources, the FBI had been pressuring Harvey for months, possibly even longer. It's been rumored that they had gathered enough evidence to implicate Harvey himself in some of Diddy's questionable activities. And so, faced with the possibility of his own career going up in flames, Harvey allegedly made the difficult decision to cooperate. It wasn't just about taking down Diddy, it was about saving himself.
What prosecutors were arguing is not only does your client pose a flight risk, because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago, they were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them.
Now, let's be clear, Harvey hasn't publicly confirmed any of this, but the rumors are persistent, and they're coming from multiple sources close to both men. Allegedly, it was Harvey's cooperation that provided the FBI the final pieces of evidence they needed to secure an arrest warrant for Diddy. And if the whispers are to be believed, it was Harvey who tipped them off about some of the inner workings of Diddy's world, including details that only someone in his inner circle would have known. Think about it, Diddy had been under scrutiny for years, facing lawsuits, investigations, and allegations, yet nothing had ever stuck. Every accusation, every lawsuit seemed to slide off him like water off a duck's back. He was untouchable, or so it seemed. But with Harvey's alleged cooperation, all of that changed. Suddenly, the FBI had what they needed to move in, and Diddy, for the first time in his career, found himself in handcuffs. It's a betrayal that cuts deep, not just for Diddy, but for everyone who knew the two men. Their friendship wasn't just a casual Hollywood connection. They had history. They shared the same values, or so it seemed. Both were self-made men who had risen from humble beginnings to become titans in their respective fields. Diddy, the music mogul, the entrepreneur, the man who built an empire from scratch. And Harvey, the comedian-turned-television host, a man who had reinvented himself time and time again to stay relevant in an ever-changing industry. Together, they represented the pinnacle of success, the embodiment of the American dream, and now that shared legacy is in ruins.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
But this betrayal doesn't just affect Diddy and Harvey. It sends a ripple effect through the entire entertainment industry. if Harvey, a man known for his integrity and strong moral compass, could turn on Diddy, who's next? The entertainment world, especially the tight-knit community of Black entertainers and entrepreneurs, has long prided itself on loyalty and solidarity. But this incident shakes that foundation to its core. It forces everyone to ask uncomfortable questions. Who can you really trust in this industry? How deep do the connections go? And more importantly, how easily can they be severed?
Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff.
As more details continue to emerge, it's becoming increasingly clear that this isn't just a story about Diddy's arrest. It's a story about how power, fame, and fortune can corrupt even the strongest of bonds. Harvey's alleged role in Diddy's downfall is a reminder of how fragile friendships can be, especially in an industry where money and influence reign supreme. One minute, you're on top of the world, surrounded by people who claim to have your back. The next, you're facing the possibility of spending the rest of your life behind bars, betrayed by the very people you thought you could trust.
A US judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male workers across state lines to take part in recorded performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence.
And let's not forget the stakes here. Diddy isn't just any celebrity. He's one of the most powerful figures in the music industry, a man whose influence extends far beyond the world of entertainment. His arrest has sent shockwaves through Hollywood, and the fallout is only just beginning. If Harvey truly did cooperate with the FBI, as the rumors suggest, he may have just made himself a lot of powerful enemies. Already there are reports that Harvey has been receiving threats, not just from Diddy but from others in Diddy's orbit who fear that their own secrets could be exposed next. It's a dangerous game that Harvey is playing, one that could have devastating consequences for him and his family. Diddy is a man with connections, and those connections don't just disappear because he's been arrested. If anything, they may become even more dangerous now that Diddy's back is against the wall. And Harvey, by allegedly turning on his old friend, has put himself squarely in the line of fire.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there.
But why would Harvey do it? Why would he risk everything, his career, his reputation, his safety, by cooperating with the FBI? Some believe that Harvey had no choice. Faced with the possibility of being implicated in Diddy's alleged activities, he may have felt that cooperating was the only way to protect himself and his family. Others, however, believe that Harvey's decision was motivated by something deeper, perhaps a desire to distance himself from Diddy's increasingly toxic reputation, or maybe even a personal vendetta that had been simmering beneath the surface for years. Whatever the reason, there's no denying that this is a turning point for both men. For Diddy, it's the end of an era, the moment when his seemingly unshakable empire finally begins to crumble. And for Harvey, it's a moment of reckoning, a test of whether he can weather the storm that's now coming his way. One thing is certain, this story is far from over. The legal battles, the public fallout, the behind-the-scenes maneuvering, it's all just beginning. And as more details continue to emerge, the world will be watching to see how both men navigate the treacherous waters ahead.
This is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
The entertainment industry is no stranger to scandal, but this one feels different. This isn't just about a celebrity getting caught up in a bad situation. This is about betrayal, loyalty, and the lengths that people will go to protect themselves when the stakes are at their highest. It's a story that has captivated the public's imagination, not just because of the high-profile names involved, but because of the deeply personal nature of the betrayal at its heart. As we wait for the next chapter in this unfolding drama, one question looms large: can Steve Harvey survive this? His reputation, once sterling, has already taken a hit. And with rumors swirling that more revelations are on the way, it's unclear whether he'll be able to come out of this unscathed. For Diddy, the path ahead is even more uncertain. His legal troubles are just beginning, and with Harvey allegedly cooperating with the FBI, there's no telling how deep the investigation will go or how many others might be implicated along the way.
So yesterday, Monday, Diddy celebrated his 55th birthday, but this year was a lot different. It was no Diddy parties. It was none of that. None of that stuff. Well, happily so, I guess, right now. But anyway, so this is his first birthday behind bars.
For now, all we can do is watch and wait as this story continues to unfold. One thing is clear, though. The entertainment world will never be the same after this. The bond between Diddy and Harvey, once thought to be unbreakable, has been shattered. And in its place, we're left with a cautionary tale about the dangers of fame, power, and the lengths that people will go to protect themselves when their backs are against the wall. In the coming weeks and months, expect more revelations, more twists, and more shocking details to emerge. This is a story that's far from over, and as the legal battles play out in court and in the public eye, the full extent of the betrayal will become clear. For now, though, all eyes are on Steve Harvey and Diddy, two men whose friendship has been destroyed by a scandal that no one saw coming.
This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
As we transition into the next part of this story, the question remains, how deep does Steve Harvey's involvement really go? Did he simply cooperate with the FBI out of self-preservation? Or is there more to his relationship with Diddy than meets the eye? The answers may surprise you. Now, let's dive deeper into Steve Harvey's alleged role in this unfolding drama, because the twists just keep coming. This isn't just a story of betrayal. It's a story of complicity, of hidden connections, and of a man who may have been more involved in Diddy's world than anyone could have imagined. The whispers aren't just about Steve betraying Diddy to save himself. No, they suggest that Harvey was knee-deep in Diddy's lifestyle, benefiting from the mogul's influence and connections, all while turning a blind eye to the darker side of Diddy's empire.
So he said, man, that's tax evasion. You can go to prison.
And let's be honest, Steve Harvey has always maintained a squeaky clean image, right? The devoted family man, the wise talk show host, the guy who gives relationship advice like some kind of modern-day sage. But peel back the layers and you start to see cracks in that perfect persona. Could it be that Harvey was more than just a bystander to Diddy's inner circle shenanigans? Could he have had a front row seat to some of the more questionable activities and chosen to stay silent? First off, let's talk about the parties. Diddy's legendary gatherings have been a part of Hollywood lore for years. These weren't your average celebrity get-togethers. These were exclusive, over-the-top events where only the elite were invited. And guess who was a regular attendee? You guessed it, Steve Harvey. It's been rumored for years that Harvey was a fixture at Diddy's infamous parties, which, according to various sources, weren't always as glamorous as they looked from the outside. These were gatherings where the lines between business, pleasure, and something much darker often blurred.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
Now, we've all heard about the freak-off parties that have been the subject of countless rumors. These were the kinds of exclusive events that Diddy threw for his closest circle parties shrouded in secrecy, where only the most trusted individuals were allowed to attend. And guess who was rumored to be on the guest list more than once? That's right, Steve Harvey. While there's no concrete proof that Harvey was involved in any illegal activities, his continued presence at these parties raises a lot of questions. I mean, how could someone so close to Diddy, who was allegedly involved in all these questionable dealings, not know what was going on behind the scenes? But it's not just the parties that tie Steve to Diddy's world. Let's not forget the connection between Diddy and Harvey's daughter, Lori Harvey. This relationship was the talk of the town back in 2019 when Lori, then 22, was spotted multiple times with Diddy, who was 49 at the time. The two were photographed vacationing together, attending events, and even dining with Lori's parents, Steve and Marjorie Harvey. That's right, Steve not only knew about his daughter's relationship with Diddy, he seemed to fully support it.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
And this is where things get really interesting. You see, this wasn't just a casual fling. Lori and Diddy were inseparable for months, and the rumors about their relationship sparked a media frenzy. Some people even speculated that Lori's relationship with Diddy was part of a larger, more strategic move on Steve's part. After all, aligning himself with someone as powerful as Diddy could only help Steve further cement himself as a key player in the entertainment industry, right? And let's not forget that Diddy had been close to the Harvey family for years before his relationship with Lori became public. But here's the kicker: Lori had previously been linked to Diddy's own son, Justin Combs. Let that sink in for a moment. Lori, who had allegedly dated Justin, suddenly found herself wrapped up with his father, Diddy. and Steve Harvey, the protective father figure we've all come to know, didn't seem to bat an eye. In fact, he was seen out in public with Diddy and Lori like everything was perfectly normal. Now, some people might say that this just shows how close the families were, but others saw it as a glaring red flag.
Understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
It's worth asking, did Steve Harvey turn a blind eye to this relationship because he was already too deeply entangled in Diddy's world? Did he see it as an opportunity to strengthen his ties to one of the most powerful men in entertainment? Or was he simply too afraid to rock the boat, knowing that Diddy's influence could either make or break careers in Hollywood? And speaking of influence, let's talk about Steve Harvey's wife, Marjorie. Now, Marjorie has her own shady past, and it's something that's been whispered about in certain circles for years. Before marrying Steve, Marjorie was married to not one, but two men with connections to criminal enterprises. Her first husband, Jim Townsend, was reportedly a major player in a smuggling ring. Townsend was eventually sentenced to life in prison, although he was later pardoned by a former U.S. president. Marjorie's second husband, Donald Woods, was also allegedly involved in similar activities. And guess what? Woods is the father of Lori Harvey.
So I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this, he think he this. You don't even know me.
Now, I'm not saying that Marjorie's past automatically implicates Steve in anything shady, but it does raise some questions. After all, Steve and Marjorie have been married since 2007, and they've built a very public life together. It's hard to imagine that Steve didn't know about his wife's past, and it's even harder to believe that he wasn't at least somewhat influenced by the people she was connected to. Could it be that Marjorie's past connections, combined with Steve's friendship with Diddy, created a perfect storm that eventually led to Harvey's alleged cooperation with the FBI? Let's also not forget that Steve Harvey has built an empire of his own. Over the past 2 decades, he's gone from being a stand-up comedian to a television host, author, and motivational speaker. He's amassed a fortune, and with that kind of success comes a certain level of pressure to maintain it. Harvey has always been seen as a man with a strong moral compass, but could it be that his desire to protect his empire led him down a darker path? Could his involvement with Diddy and the subsequent fallout be the result of Harvey trying to protect his own interests?
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. I mean, how long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come, within the next 2 years?
There are also rumors that Harvey's cooperation with the FBI wasn't entirely voluntary. Some sources claim that the authorities had been investigating Harvey for months, maybe even years, and that they had gathered enough evidence to pressure him into cooperating. It's been suggested that the FBI had uncovered Harvey's presence at some of Diddy's more questionable events, and that they used this information to force Harvey's hand. If that's true, then Harvey may have had no choice but to turn on his former friend to save himself from being dragged down with him. And if that's the case, then Harvey's betrayal of Diddy wasn't just about loyalty or friendship, it was about survival. In an industry where reputation is everything, Harvey may have seen no other way out. But even if that's true, it doesn't change the fact that Harvey's actions have left him in a precarious position. He may have saved himself from legal trouble for now, but at what cost? Diddy is a powerful man, and his influence extends far beyond the entertainment industry. By cooperating with the FBI, Harvey may have made himself a target, not just for Diddy, but for others who have something to lose if Diddy goes down.
What his team is trying to do is get the public to assume that the government is leaking some of this negative information about him, like that Cassie video. But the reality is, he's got a lot of enemies.
Already, there are reports that Harvey has been receiving threats. Some sources claim that Diddy's associates are furious with Harvey, believing that his cooperation with the authorities could lead to more arrests. And it's not just Diddy's inner circle that's angry. Other powerful figures in the entertainment industry are reportedly distancing themselves from Harvey, fearing that they too could be implicated in the fallout from Diddy's arrest. It's a dangerous game that Steve Harvey is playing, and it's one that could have serious consequences. Not just for him, but for his family as well. Harvey has built a brand around being a family man, a man of faith, and a man who gives advice to others on how to live their best lives. But now the very foundation of that brand is being called into question. If Harvey was willing to betray one of his closest friends to save himself, what does that say about the man behind the public persona?
Some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week.
And let's not forget the financial implications of all this. Harvey has a lot to lose if his reputation takes a hit. He's got multiple television shows, endorsement deals, and a massive fan base. If the public starts to turn on him, it could all come crashing down. Already, there are whispers that some of his business partners are starting to reconsider their relationships with him. After all, no one wants to be associated with someone who's at the center of one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this whole saga is the question of what happens next. Diddy is facing serious charges, and if convicted, he could be looking at a long time behind bars. But what about Steve Harvey? Will he be able to weather the storm, or will his involvement in this scandal ultimately bring him down as well? And if more details emerge about his alleged role in Diddy's downfall, will the public be willing to forgive him?
Yeah, but so there's still, I mean, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Like, I mean, everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued like we talked about prior to.
For now, all we can do is watch and wait as this story continues to unfold. One thing is for sure, though Steve Harvey's carefully crafted image as a family man and moral authority has been irrevocably tarnished. Whether or not he can salvage his reputation remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, the entertainment world will never look at him the same way again. As this scandal continues to unravel, we're left with more questions than answers. How deep does Steve Harvey's involvement really go? Was he simply a pawn in a larger game, or was he an active participant in Diddy's world all along? And most importantly, will the public ever be able to trust him again? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the latest updates on this ever-evolving story.